Hello, happy Tuesday. 4-day week this week. Yes, you have off on Friday. We have an institute day, so yay, enjoy. Okay, today's lesson is about two-way frequency tables. This is something that I even remember from my senior level statistics class. So even though you're learning it in 8th grade, you guys are going to see this until you graduate high school. So, very, very important for you, especially thinking about science as well. So, your objective for today is to interpret two-way frequency tables, and I'm even going to show you how to calculate different numbers within them. Probably right now, what you're thinking in your head is, Mrs. Aban, what is a two-way frequency table? But don't you worry because I'm going to show you right now. So, a two-way frequency table looks exactly like this. You might want to pause the video and actually look at it, look at the labels, what does it look like, because otherwise it's going to go a little bit too fast for you. Two-way frequency tables include two variables. One is on top, one is on the bottom. This table right here specifically is talking about, all right, people who eat breakfast or skip breakfast. And then it's talking about, okay, of the people who were interviewed, it's students from the ages 10 to 13 and then students 14 to 17. Now, within the table, there's actually a lot that you can analyze. So, you can say that there are 12 students between the ages of 14 to 17 who eat breakfast, and there's 24 students between 14 and 17 who skip it. If you come up here, you could tell me there's 40 students between the ages of 10 and 13 who eat breakfast, and there's 14 between the age of 10 and 13 who skip it. Notice that in your two-way frequency table that you have column totals here and row totals. So there are 54 total kids between 10 and 13. There's 36 total kids between 14 and 17. The grand total, every time you see a two-way frequency table, the grand total is always in this bottom right here, okay? That tells you that there were 90 total people that were interviewed. So with two-way frequency tables, we're comparing two variables, and one of the most important things that we look at are the total columns here and the total row in our grand total. So let's go ahead and jump into the lesson. Take a second to pause the video and review the table below. It's more meaningful if you actually pause to draw a few conclusions before I go over them. So pause it and take a look. All right, looking at this table, we know that we're interviewing men and women. Okay, that's what it tells us. We've got men and we've got women. And we're talking about their preferred, their preferred program that they'd like to watch, whether that's dance, sports, or movies. Okay, we also know that we're going to be dealing with our totals here and our totals here. So, what can we conclude from this two-way frequency table? Well, if I'm looking at this column, I can say that there are many more women who prefer dance compared to men, because there's 16 women who would prefer dance compared to 2 men that prefer dance. Okay. You could also tell me that the men, there's 10 of them that prefer sports compared to 6 women who prefer sports. You can also tell me that the same number of men and women prefer movies, because you've got 8 women, 8 men who prefer movies. Now look at the totals. You can tell me that there are 30 women who were interviewed, because if you look at women and you come down here to the total, there are 30 women who were interviewed. There were 20 men who were interviewed, and then there were 50 total. Okay, 50 total people in this survey. You always know that this bottom right here, that's your grand total of how many total people were interviewed. So those are just some basic conclusions, and you guys, we could go on for a long time. We could even go and get into these totals down here. You can say that there were 18 total people who preferred dance, and there were 16 total people who preferred sports. And for movies, there were 16 total people who preferred those. Okay, there's a lot of conclusions you can draw. Now, if we're looking at something like this, take a second again. You can pause it, look at the table, and then it'll help you to analyze what I'm going to ask you. So this is a two-way frequency table. We are comparing people who were interviewed, both men and women, and if they prefer the Winter Olympics or the Summer Olympics. So the question that they asked the people, do you spend more time watching the Winter or the Summer Olympics on TV? Now, your job is to look at this statement and determine if it is true or false. So the statement says more men than women watch the Winter Olympics. Okay? More men than women prefer to watch the Winter Olympics. So here's what you need to do on your table. So we're looking at men and women here, and we're looking at the Winter Olympics. So I know that 45 out of 79 men prefer to watch the winter, whereas 27 out of the 71 total women prefer to watch the Winter Olympics. We can actually convert that to a percent to see what we're talking about. So take a look at the colors. I tried to match them up accordingly. So if 45 out of 79 men prefer the Winter Olympics, that means that 57% of them prefer it. Yikes. Sorry for that highlighting. If only 27 out of 71 women prefer the Winter Olympics, that means that there's 38% of them that enjoy it. So the statement is true. 57% of men prefer Winter Olympics compared to 38% of women. So we can also use two-way frequency tables to draw these deep conclusions and to find percentages to make statements. All right, let's talk totals. This will be a big part of your assignment later today. So you're going to want to have a calculator handy. Notice that you've got totals going down here and you've got totals here. We know this is our grand total. This is a trick that I'm going to teach you. When you add these together, 48 plus 52, your sum is 100. When you add 30 plus 70, your total is 100. No matter what, when you add these going down, it should give you your grand total. When you add these going across, it should give you your grand total. Okay? Also, look, this kind of is a diagram that kind of shows you the same thing. You can ignore this middle part here. I wouldn't use that as much, but it's showing you that if you add the total of boys and girls, 52 plus 53, you get the 105 total population. And if you added the 31, 39, and 35, like all of your totals, if they like to ski, sled, or ice skate, that also gives you 105. So you've got a lot of options to find your grand total or to fill in, and I'm going to show you how to do that right here. Okay, here's the table that you're given. You are going to be asked to fill in the missing boxes. This is going to be, it might take you a little bit of time at first, but once you kind of pick up on the pattern, you'll get to go a little bit faster. So grab your calculator. Okay, I'm just using my phone, and I'm going to model for you too. Okay, so we need to fill in all of these empty boxes here. If I know that this row total is 32 and this part's 19, I can just quickly subtract those two. I can do 32 minus 19, and that gives me 13 here. So this box would be 13. Okay, do you see what I just did? Do you see how old I am? I have this as arrows right now instead of the pen. Oh my gosh. Okay, so now that I know that this number is 13, I can add these going down to find this total here. So I'm going to do 13 plus 28, and that gives me 41. I can also find this box here because 19 plus what number gets me to 34 going down? Okay, well, I know quick math, 34 minus 19 is going to give me 15. And now that I've got this 15 here, I can find the total for city B because I'm going to do 28 plus 15, and I get 43. So now here's where you really need to make sure that you did your math correctly. We're going to check our grand total 2 times. So we're going to add these going down. I'm going to say, all right, 32 plus 43, and that gives me a total of 75. Okay, yikes. Let's go. First of all, okay, give me a second. Okay, so I know that my grand total is going to be 75 because I added these going down. Let's make sure. Let's add 41 plus 34 to make sure. So 41 plus 34, and I get 75 again. So I know that I did this correctly, and you can double check your work. Make sure that when you add going down, you get your total. You can add across, total, and then your grand total is 75. And you did it. Okay, that's going to be a big part of your assignment later. So if you need to rewatch that portion, you might want to. Okay. All right, last thing, and then we are done for today. So take a look at this word problem, and this would be a good time for you to just grab a piece of scratch paper and see if you can sketch this out before I do it for you, because it'll be more meaningful that way. So it says 100 students were asked how they traveled to school. 100 students. That's your grand total, you guys. It's 100. Of the girls, so we're talking about girls here. Okay, let's change the color. I'll change it to red for girls. 19 rode in a car. So for girls, I'm going to go to 19 rode in a car. 7 rode the bus, and 27 took the train. Then it said for the boys, 12 took the train, 25 rode in a car, and 10 rode the bus. Now, it wants you to construct a two-way frequency table. Essentially, you just filled in most of the parts that you need. You just need to calculate your totals. So to calculate your end totals for this guy, we can add going across. And by the way, this is supposed to be 25. So I'm going to do 25 plus 10 plus 12. Let me do that again. 25 plus 10 plus 12. And I get 47. So my total here is 47. I can then add my girls column going across. So I would do 19 plus 7 plus 27. And I would get 53. And we're going to check to make sure that's right at the end, but just give me 2 seconds, okay? All right, now let's add going down. So for the car total, I'm going to do 25 plus 19, and I get 44. For the bus, 10 plus 7, that's quick math, 17. Wow. And then over here, 12 plus 27 will be 39. Now, to make sure that we did that correctly, let's do our double check, okay? Because when we add these together, we should get 100. And when we add these together, we should get 100 because it needs to total our grand total. So let's start with these guys. Let's do 47 plus 53. Oh, and I got 100. So this is good so far. Now let's add together the 44, 17, and 39. And I get 100 again. So I did that correctly. So before I talk about your assignment, you guys, let's just really quick sum up. A two-way frequency table compares two variables. Okay, you've got one on top, you've got one on bottom. You can find totals all around your table. To find your grand total, you can either add up these guys here, or you can add up these guys here. Okay, that will give you your grand total. Remember that you can use that idea of finding totals this way to fill in missing spaces just like we did. Okay, you can use subtraction, addition, etc. Just remember that this bottom right is always your grand total. Okay, I think that's it for today, you guys. Wonderful job. Your assignment is your 5-12-20 Tuesday Schoology check. If you have any questions, please message me. Other than that, have a wonderful day. See you later.